All
Hello,
right.
everyone. My name is Kevin, and this is the Industrial and Systems Engineering question and answer session. I'll be covering some general housekeeping, how to use the Zoom functions and how to do stuff. And then Professor Dasuki will have some things to show and discuss and answer your questions after that. If you have any questions, we have the question and answer feature, the button at the bottom of your screen. You can use it to type out questions you may have, and we'll get to answering them either verbally or we'll answer your questions. We'll type out the answer there. There's also a chat function if you'd like to make some comments or to chat with peers in the chat. Please, just a reminder, please use appropriate language while chatting or commenting, as everything can be seen by everybody and it's recorded as well. The Q&A session is designed to help both students and parents learn more about the program. So if you have anything to share or questions and comments, you can post those there. Without any further delay, I'll turn it over to Professor Tsuki.
Good morning. I guess it's now heading into the afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just wondering how many of you guys had the opportunity to see my presentation. I know it went a little bit longer than many others, went up to be 15 minutes, but I always get excited about talking about industrial engineering, especially at San Jose State. So just as a general sense, can I get a sense of how many people in the audience have saw my presentation? I see Michael, great. So that's two participants. Three, I'm seeing the numbers. So a lot of times, you know, during my presentations as such, because most people don't know what industrial engineering is. And really industrial engineers, as my presentation showed, we're across all business sectors. I mean, we're found in all industries. Healthcare, as you can see now, and especially some of the problems we're really involved in is in supply chains. Because along my presentation, I tried to emphasize, you know, what we try to do is optimize the process of meeting our demand. So demand's a key, understanding our demand. Also doing the products on time, doing whatever service or manufacturer on time, and obviously at minimal cost. And if you look at any company's mission statement, they're always related to customer satisfaction, doing something on a timely basis, and also doing something of value to their shareholders or costs. So quality, cost, and time, those three dimensions. And as you can see, they're not always in the same direction. So how do we optimize process to take advantage of all three of them? In some cases, you know, cost is going to be the driver. In some cases, quality is going to be the driver. In some cases, timeliness is the driver. Now, quite frankly, if we live in a world with infinite resources, there will be no need for industrial engineers. But as you can see, during this current crisis we're at, we don't have infinite resources. So it's not only an aspect of having sufficient resources, can we get them at the right place, at the right time, at a reasonable price? These are all factors we always have to consider it. And it goes all the way even from Disneyland to making cars, to making almost any product or providing any service. So in a nutshell, that's industrial engineering. So that curriculum requires quantitative type of courses and also qualitative type of courses. So our engineering really is so much different than the other engineering disciplines if you had an opportunity to see them. Now, with that being said, do you have any questions about industrial engineering, or in particular, industrial engineering at San Jose State? I think we have a very good hands-on practical programming, and sort of our drive now is because of the big data movement is providing our schools, our students, excuse me, with the ability to analyze a bunch of data. So our students now do R programming, some of you may have heard of. Our students also do Python, and we have workshops where they get some hands-on practice with some data sets and so on. So, questions, please.
You're all welcome to raise your hand and I'll unmute your microphones. Otherwise, you can type out your questions in the question and answers chat. Shubham has a question. I'm going to allow you to talk.
Hi, Shubham.
Hi, this is Shubham's dad, and Shubham is sitting by me.
Mhm.
The question is, what type of jobs the students who graduate from industrial and systems engineering get?
That's a very good question. Um, if you had them, I believe I saw the hand raised. As you can see, not only are our students across every industry, what we did is we did an alumni survey. And I wish you that were in our lab about last year, a year and a half ago, and we had a very good response rate. We asked them what industries you worked in, and if you saw the presentation, the logos of all the different companies who they were involved in. And we also asked them what's their job titles. Their job titles is also quite varied. They go all the way from being a process engineer, product engineer, manufacturing engineer, quality engineer, systems analyst, industrial engineering, supply chain analyst. We had even in Cisco, they're called virtual engineers. I haven't yet figured out what that is. But typically what they're doing is looking at the problem from a broad-based end, making sure our materials arrive on time. Are we meeting my customer demand? How's the quality of our products? Dealing with suppliers, customers. For instance, in Disneyland, have you guys, I imagine a lot of you guys have been to Disneyland or Disney World. Disneyland and Disney World are basically run by industrial engineers. The fast pass concept is industrial engineering. Why does the fast pass work? Because not only do customers wait in line, that reduces the waiting time. And obviously the obvious answer is that increases customer satisfaction. But what's the other hidden benefit is it increased profits. Why does it increase profits? Well, because customers aren't waiting. If you're not waiting, that means you're moving. If you're moving, you're more likely to spend money, get a soda, buy a souvenir, so on. So there's many job titles our students have across different industries. If you that's why we encourage our students. Oh, technical sales is another good job that our students have. You find out in the Silicon Valley, a lot of people who are in marketing and that are in sales are from engineering backgrounds because they understand the products much more that they can sell. So we're a lot wide spectrum. Our students can have quite quantitative jobs doing the data analytics, or because our students also take a lot of, even though they're from our department, they're big picture business processes kind of courses. Our students are also interacting a lot with our customers of the business, understanding the behavior of the customers, because they get the broad education. Did that help you answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. We have a question.
Another question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So would it be advantageous to like take a minor in computer science along with an ISC, or?
That's a very excellent question. Historically, our students have taken a math minor or business minor, right? Now, what I've seen more recently is the computer science minor because of the analytics aspect of the movement of our curriculum. Our curriculum went through several phases, and this is what I'm really proud of our curriculum. If you look at our curriculum compared to Cal Poly SLO, I'm sure many of you know about SLO. SLO tends to be very traditional, but because of our nature of where we're at, we introduce new courses at a much faster rate than SLO does. You've seen the evolution of our curriculum tie with the industry needs. It went from supply chain being the big driver of our curriculum, then it moved to Six Sigma Lean. How many of you are familiar with Six Sigma Lean? And now we're moving it now to being back to more quantitative, which is the data analytics aspect, because that's what the employer is demanding. And it also sends itself for students who want to go to graduate school, because that's what they're doing at the research universities also. So we do a very good job, I believe, at San Jose State, monitor what's going on in industry, what's going on in the academic world, and in the research world to keep our curriculum relevant. So yes, I think that would be a very good minor.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm gonna hold off on asking any more questions, just to like let anybody else talk. So, does any,
Okay, I'll take it from here. We have a question from Jaskaran Singh in the chat. He asked, how much programming is involved in industrial engineering?
Oh, another great question. Okay, so remember, all engineers use tools now, right? So we do have one required programming class, but we have another software engineering required class. So there's not much programming from development of the tool that is required by our curriculum. But as the previous student, possible student asked was, can I take a computer science minor? Yes. But what you could also do instead of taking that minor is you can take some electives, which is different. We have two electives we allow our students to take, and we allow them also in computer courses instead of, if you want to go, instead of going through the full minor route if you want. So from a required end, 1.5, 2 courses, but almost all our classes use tools, software tools. So you might do a little programming in that tool, but it's a tool-based programming. It's not a general-based programming language. Now, people will argue Python may be a general-based programming language, so that adds a number. But it's more programming not to develop a tool, it's to do programming to obtain results so we can derive a solution.
Okay. Next question. Moises asks, as a student transferring into the industrial systems program, how many units should I be taking in a semester?
Well, I think it's in everybody's best interest to graduate in 2 years. So it's assuming that you completed all the lower requirements, which is the 60 units before approximately. You should take 15 units. But I put a quotation mark on that because it all depends on your transcript coming in, how prepared you are to it. If you've taken your full calculus sequence, if you completed your physics, your GE, and so on.
Okay. Dunji would like to ask a question in person. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Going back to the programming language, I know you mentioned Python. I'm a transfer student from City College, and I'm just wondering what programming languages should I practice before jumping into junior level?
Okay, so the programming language you took in community college was either was C++ or Java, am I correct?
C++.
Yeah, so that you're fine, right? Now, all the other ones that you might need, for instance, in our simulation class, it's just all you need to know is you have to understand, because the other constructs are pretty easy to teach. You know, every programming language that you've done basically deals with conditional constructs, looping constructs, sequential statements. As long as you understand those fundamental concepts, we can easily teach you the tools that's required in the class.
Okay, that makes sense. And just one more question. Since I'm a transfer student, I've taken all the math at City College. I'm wondering how much more math will be involved from junior to senior level?
Okay, so did you see my presentation?
No, I just joined in today at noon.
I meant my presentation that was earlier. Okay, if you looked at our curriculum slides, Kevin, do I have time to share that slide?
Yeah, just
My curriculum. I'll try to pull it up. If you guys give me a minute, I could maybe speak to our curriculum and I can show it to you.
Okay, got it.
And maybe it might be benefit. I have to pull up that file. Okay, give me a minute.
Yeah, just use the share screen button when you're ready.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, that was my presentation that I had given earlier. But here's our curriculum, okay?
Okay.
Let me put the slideshow on, if I can get to that. Okay, so if you see the courses under the math modeling,
Yeah.
those tend to be the more mathematical courses that we want. Again, our curriculum is set up to address those things that I talked about earlier. Demand, using our resources efficiently, and looking at doing things on time, right?
Yeah.
So what we have is operations courses, which try to understand the system. You can't talk about understanding your demand and what resources you have unless you understand different organizations' operations, right? So we have our operations courses, and we have sufficient number of them. And obviously management, as I said, some of our courses are business oriented. So our students take some management courses to understand how organizations and how they're set up from a management and what makes them effective from a business teamwork, communication, and so forth. And obviously, we're going to look at a lot of different strategies before we recommend. Should we buy a new machine? Should we hire more workers? Should we work overtime? Well, we want to make that recommendation based on some modeling. So we do a lot of modeling and what if scenarios, and that's why we have several courses on that.
Okay.
And obviously, humans are part of any system, so we have courses on humans and understanding the ergonomic aspect of it. And quality is a big part of our curriculum, so we have several courses on quality. And then we have some general engineering courses to meet our engineering background.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, if that's it, I'll go to the next question that we have in order. So the next question is, how does SJSU help industrial engineering students get internships or jobs?
How do we help? Well, we have a career center, right? We have and every student should be using from day one, get themselves an account on Handshake, and that's where our job posting is. And and then you can start from they start you very young. You attend career workshops and so forth, how to build your resume and so on. So one aspect is the career center, right? The other aspect is the joining the student club. I'm going to emphasize over and over again. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to see the video on our webpage from the student club, but if you did, oh, I don't know what happened to my full screen. I like to put up my full screen back up, but anyway, our student club just won first prize from the national chapter based on our student club. Our student club is very good at doing company tours to various industries. They contact our alumni or students who may be doing interns, and then they have field trips about the different industries that our students work in, which is a wide spectrum in the Bay Area. So being active with the student club. Third is networking with our students. And fourth is if you're a good student, a lot of times our companies and our alumni will reach out to the faculty and say, oh, I'm looking for an intern. Can you refer somebody to me? And then we look at students who are in our class who did real well, then we refer them to those opportunities. And fourth, yourself. You need to always remember why you came to college. Not obviously, we all want you to have a tremendous college experience, and that's a major part of it. But also, you have to be engaged. It's all about you. It's what you put it into it. We offer the opportunity, but luck doesn't happen to people who do nothing. Good things happen to people who are engaged. So, more engaged you are, the more likelihood you'll be able to get opportunities to present themselves.
Okay, next question from Anonymous. Is the Industrial Technology Manufacturing Systems degree related to the Industrial and Systems Engineering program?
No, not at all. Theirs is not an engineering and science-based curriculum or ABET accredited. Ours is. They have many of our similar courses. Almost half our courses, they would have a similar one, but it's not as math-oriented or quantitative-oriented. Their workers tend to end up being technicians, highly paid technicians, whereas ours are, we get engineering job titles.
Okay, there's another question from Michael. I've heard a lot about Six Sigma, but what exactly is it?
Oh, God, I love these questions. Thank you. Keep on bringing them. Six Sigma and lean manufacturing. I'll talk about both of them, okay? So you can sort of get a sense. Six Sigma is all about reducing process variability. In most situations, there's two variability in any kind of organization, whether it's variability on the demand end or variability on the process end, providing the service, right? So organizations can control their variability on the service much more than on the demand end. Obviously, if you control your demand uncertainty, then you have a better way of planning your resources. But give you an idea of how this variability manifests itself, right? Very simple example. Let's look at a scheduled doctor's appointment, okay? Where does the variability in the demand come in? Well, the variability in the demand in, many patients do not come in exactly at their scheduled appointment, right? They might come in a little bit later, 5 minutes. So how does it manifest itself? Sometimes we have delays in that. How about the variability in service? Well, in the service, when you have an appointment, we typically know the reason why you're coming in. So we might give you 15 minutes for that appointment, but there's still some variability associated with that. So the wait times, even though they do exist, they're not that bad. Whereas, let's look at the emergency. We have no idea how patients are going to arrive to an emergency room. So the demand's all over the place. And how about the service? Well, we don't know the reason why they're coming to the hospital, so it's hard to plan the services for them. We may have a lot of different reasons why people go to the emergency room. So here's an example of what happens when you don't have any control over your demand variability or your service variability. They manifest themselves in long waiting times and processes not being in control. Whereas, so that's what Six Sigma is. Industries who are able to control your variability are able to obviously reap tremendous benefits from it. Now, lean manufacturing is about reducing waste. What are steps in our processes that are redundant or don't add any value? Industrial engineering really is almost like a way of life. When I commute, I'm always thinking, is there a better way of getting to work faster, despite what Google Maps says? Google Maps has really taken my competitive advantage away from many people because they just do use Google Maps. But I'm always thinking about shortest path. What is the most efficient way to do things? And we're trying to only focus on activities that add value at the end of the day.
Okay, next question is how many units of computer science are required for the minor?
Each department runs their own minors. So typically a minor is anywhere from 12 to 24 units.
Okay, next question is from Michael. Which classes are more important sequentially to graduate on time?
You gotta get your math done. You gotta get your calculus. And it's ISE 130. ISE 130 and ISE 102 need to be done as soon as possible, especially ISE 130. Well, to do ISE 130, you gotta have your calculus done.
Okay.
And if everybody now notices, our differential and linear algebra course is now a lower division course that you can take at a community college.
Okay, next question. How does the industrial engineer average salary compared to those of other engineering majors?
We're just as competitive. Our students are going to be making probably 65 to 75 with a bachelor's, and some even more, 80 maybe, depending on the job.
Okay. Another question from Anonymous. Hi, I'm an incoming freshman as a mechanical engineer, but I'm interested in transferring to industrial. What is the process?
The process is, well, since you're a freshman right away, did you come calculus ready? That's the first question I would have. And there's really no hurry for you to transfer right away, because in the first semester you could take engineering 10, your calculus courses. But in general, what we do is for students to transfer industrial engineering, you have to have completed Calculus 1, Calculus 2, and Physics and English 1B with a C or better.
Okay. And we have another live question from Dunji. I'm going to unmute.
Hi, can you tell us the exact difference between attaining 6 MS certification versus getting a graduate degree in industrial and systems engineering? What are the benefits or the pros and cons of the two?
Certificates very seldomly get you a new job unless you need a certificate unless it's a trade business, okay? Industries tend to value master's degrees much more than certificates.
Okay.
It's from an employment end, much more value.
Okay, got it. And I was surfing through the website. I believe when we take the courses for the certificate, I believe some chunks of it will factor into attaining graduate level, graduate degree.
No, you can't count any course you've taken at the undergraduate to your master's degree. What you can do is as a senior, you could take a graduate level course as a technical elective, but you can't count that course towards your graduate degree.
I see. Okay.
There are no open questions right now. If anyone else has any questions, you're welcome to raise your hand or post one. Oh, we have another question from Shubham. If I want to go for a master's program, which stream, MS Computer Science or MBA or MS Industrial and Systems Engineering, is better to pursue from job prospects perspective?
Probably right now the MBA is probably the least preferred path. Because now industries are looking more for specialists than generalists from an MBA. That's what the MBA is, right? Computer science degree would be hard to argue against a computer science degree. But remember, this is, are you coming in as a freshman or as a junior? That's my question. Remember, for the ones who are coming in as freshmen, what people don't recognize is it's going to take you 4 years to graduate. And how many of you guys been to the ocean? It's all about catching the right wave at the right time, right? 4 years is a long time. Right now, yes, computer science degrees are very, very hot. 4 years, probably still remain hot. But can we guarantee that? No. There's a lot of developments that can occur and unforeseen situations that come up. So it's all about, I think the best approach is making sure that you have the foundations and know your fundamentals real well and put yourself in a position to go to get a master's degree. And do the right one, you can decide which is the right one as you move along during your studies, right? But so what do I mean by getting yourself prepared? Make sure you do well in your studies. The better you do in your studies, the more flexibility you have. Right now, the computer science degree requires a much higher GPA to get into it in the master's than, let's say, an MBA. So if you want to get the computer science master's, well, you need to start now making sure your GPA is going to be high because there's no secret that everybody else may want that. So that means they have their admission requirements will be a lot more rigid. So what I would focus on is your undergraduate studies now and make sure you have your GPA is very solid in case you want to get a master's degree later on.
Okay, question from Caesar. Do you know if I can take English 1B and equation differential in community college summer term?
Yes, you can. You just need to transfer. Oh, let me add to that question, right? And this applies to freshmen, everybody. Let's say you want to do summer school at a community college online for whatever reason it may be. You can always take a course at a community college anytime during your 4-year studies, even when you're admitted at San Jose State, but you just need to transfer those transcripts.
Okay, no questions right now. Also, just a reminder, if anyone has any questions, type them in the question and answer chat.
Let me, while I have you guys here, for the ones who haven't, just to get a sense, let me just hop through here, some couple of things on my slideshow. These are the skills that employers want. Number one, I put is problem solving. These are skills that you're never going to go to work and get the exact same problem as you got from school, regardless of what's your major. So how do you think outside the box? We gave you the fundamentals so you can approach the problem and some basic skills that can lead you to solve the industry's problem. They're going to be similar in nature. The basis of the problem is going to be the same, but that's never going to be the exact same problem. So you have to be able to think outside the box. Leadership. You don't have to be a leader from day one, but you have the potential to move up in the organization to lead others. Every job, you have to know some basic skills. Can you work with others? But not only can you work with others, can you train yourself? Can you do presentations and communications? And any internship experience obviously benefits you as you look for future employment. And here's where these are actual companies our students currently work at. And by no means is it exhaustive, but that's even more than that. But as you can see, our students are not tied to any one industry sector. Our students do get jobs, and they're found in almost every business sector.
We have a couple questions now.
Okay, let me get away from these slides, and let me go back. Okay.
This is a similar question. What are some of the jobs you can get as an IE?
I believe I addressed that earlier. I don't know, but it's all different jobs. I said all the way from a process engineer, supply chain analyst, quality engineer. Questions are related to how can I use my resources efficiently, making sure my materials are available, reduce waiting times, anything. A lot of jobs have jobs that may not be called industrial engineering, but companies are looking to add value to their business processes.
Okay, next question is, are courses from other CSUs transferable to SJSU?
Yes, they are, but it depends. It's going to be dependent on me, since I am not only the department chair, also the advisor of the department of the undergraduates. So that means is we don't have any articulation agreements with other CSUs, but I typically, if it's a similar course to what we have, I'll honor it.
So another question, I'm transferring this year. Does San Jose State accept this year's summer coursework?
I don't understand that question. Can you repeat it?
Hopefully they'll elaborate or post another question. That's all it says is, hi, I'm transferring this year. Does San Jose State accept this year's summer coursework? I'm not sure.
Oh, well, you could transfer the summer courses later. No problem.
Okay, I guess that's a yes.
But sooner the better, because they may be prereqs for other courses.
Question, would you recommend a student to minor in business while majoring in IE or just master in IE?
It doesn't hurt. The way I look at minors is this. If you can fit them and still graduate on your expected time, I encourage you to do that. But obviously, we don't know what the economy is right now. But I certainly would not delay my graduation for a business minor. I would, if I could fit it in my scheduled graduation date, oh yes. It obviously gives you a little bit of advantage at best. But the opportunity cost of delaying your graduation for the business minor is not worth it in my opinion.
Question from Anonymous. Do you know if fall semester is going to be online? What is the probability with the COVID-19 pandemic?
That question is probably going to even be made at the governor level to some degree, because they're going to dictate what are the shelter social distancing places rules that's going to apply. So we'll have a much better feel. Summer, we've already said online. Fall hasn't been determined. It could be one of the three scenarios: 100% online, 100% in person, or a mix of in person and online. It just hasn't been determined yet. But I'll tell you this, and I say this with all sincerity. They're definitely not one for hyperbola, whatever the word is. I think our leadership, I have contacts in universities of a lot of places in this country. My family works at other faculty, other words, I've taught at other universities and so on. I will say the way our leadership has handled this, my kids go to different universities, and also go to San Jose State too. Our leadership who's handled this, from our dean to the provost and president, I have full confidence that they're going to make the right decision. They've done very well so far in their decision making. The students, they're very conscientious of the students' needs, and they've really done a wonderful job. So I have trust that they will make the right decision. I guess that's what I'm saying.
This is a similar question to one you've answered earlier already. What is the average salary for being an industrial engineer?
65, 75. But I remember looking at somebody's offer one time a couple years back. It was 120, and he only had a bachelor's degree.
Okay. Next question from Anonymous. What value does a minor add with industrial systems engineering? Also, is a minor like an associate degree?
No, a minor just is exactly what it is. It's a minor. It's different. It may enable you to do a job, especially ones that may be computer science. You tend to be more in the technical side of industrial engineering than because again, industrial engineering jobs can be very quantitative or qualitative if you go to technical sales. So that means you probably put yourself in a better position in the technical side of industrial engineering profession.
Okay. Question from Jess. How is the industrial engineering program at SJSU rated compared to other industrial engineering schools?
Right now, the U.S. News World Report doesn't rate the undergraduate industrial engineering programs that don't have PhDs because there isn't sufficient number. But 10 years ago, we were highly ranked. If you judge us from our alumni satisfaction, we held an alumni event. And I probably graduated maybe, since I've been here since 97, maybe 750 undergraduates. We've had 120. We had 120 at our alumni events. Computer engineering, which probably has graduates maybe 10 or 20 times our number, 15 times our number, had maybe 80 or 90 people at their alumni events. So that shows you the customer satisfaction they get from our program. It speaks to it. And our students have went on to very successful careers. I have a department advisory committee, which is made up of my alumni. You know, we have people who have their own companies, who are currently vice presidents or major directors in their companies. We have a person who started his own finance company, which is completely different than, but you saw it as one of our logos there. He's a CEO of his own company and is very successful. Our students get jobs. That's the bottom line.
5-minute warning.
Okay, thank you.
We have about 2 questions left. Should I get a MBA with an IE major? Is it worth the time? Do you think companies will pay more?
Okay, my sense is this, okay? It's very hard to say what the economy is like, right? The 4 years, right? I would focus on doing well in your undergraduate studies now. Please, that should be your #1 interest. You'll find out from the courses you take of what type of master's degree you want. Whether your strength is the qualitative nature or the quantitative. You'll know. Focus on doing well now. My sense is, and I did this during my studies, is I never paid for my graduate studies. I always preferred a company pay for it. So if you can get a company to pay for your master's degree, that would be the best preferred option, obviously. But that's depending on whether the job market's going to be like 4 years from now. Who knows, right? This is very uncertain and unprecedented times. We went from having the best job market during my 60 years of living to being, who knows, uncertain job market. So for me to answer these questions is very difficult during these uncertain times. And I apologize, I can't give you a better answer than that.
Okay. When is the typical time to start an internship as an undergraduate?
Junior. Second semester junior year, after you've gotten taken some classes in industrial engineering. But some have gotten during their sophomore years.
Okay.
And freshman summers.
Sorry. Next one. Could you recommend me a company to work in San Jose? Actually, I work in food industry cheese plant.
It depends what you're interested in, what industry. We also, as I said, our companies were across all space. Our students are hired a lot from Cisco. It's a good starting company for a lot of our students. Or if you like healthcare, it depends what you're interested on. I hate to give you one preference or the other. Let me say it this way. As a student, I wouldn't worry about who I work with. I'd be more worried about getting any experience. Experience.
Okay. How have internships been for international students? Do they have a disadvantage compared to American citizens?
I could say this. Our master's program is 90% international, and they have no problems getting internships. But they have to do more paperwork, that's for sure. I can't speak from the undergraduate level, but from the graduate level, I know they do much better.
Okay. Last one for now. Where did you study and what was your first job?
Where did I study? I'm one of the few faculty members to have done industrial engineering throughout bachelor's. I got my undergraduate at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, my master's and PhD at Arizona State. I was a simulation consultant during my first, I sacrificed pay for a job that gave me opportunities to do a lot of different things. Experience is what I was looking for, that where I could do a lot of exciting things. I figured the money would come later.
Okay, we have time for one last question. Anybody have one last question to ask before we end this Q&A? Okay, we have Michael, he'll ask our last question.
You said that internships are the most important, I mean experience. What's the best way to get experience right now?
That's the $1 million question, right? Yeah, if employers are hiring, they get experience. But if you can't get it that way, you find professors who may have projects and see if they have any work for you to do.
And what projects can someone in IE do?
The projects in our field, which I just spent 45 minutes on, the projects we're talking about, which is, projects we have professors who do healthcare related projects. For instance, we did some projects trying to know what characteristics might predict that a military veteran may have PTSD or not. So there's a lot of different kinds of projects in industrial engineering, all about trying to identify where's the value, what are key factors that influence problems to eliminate problems, where are bottlenecks, and so on in any process. Trying to reduce delays.
Okay, and that's all the time we have today for the session. Thank you for all the excellent questions. If you have any other general questions or concerns, please email engineering@sjsu.edu. Thank you for everyone's time and for joining us today. Congratulations to everybody for being accepted as a Spartan, and we look forward to seeing you in the fall.
Thank you, guys.